I'm not sure if you guys have watched Age of Ultron, the superhero movie from Marvel, but it revolves around an AI that goes rogue. Why? Well, I figured that it went online and realized that the biggest problem that the world had was humans. But just how far has technology come? With artificial intelligence as it is, it's kind of scary to think that this kind of tech can be taught in the future. Can it be told to access our electric cars? Can it be assigned to smart homes? Will it be under the bidding of a particular superpower that can cut off our access to the digital dollar when it sees fit? Some of you think that I'm just exaggerating, but just how much technology and information do you really think that the government is sharing openly to the public? And if AI can be trained much like a new employee, then shouldn't we have an idea as to who's training these bots? Now, here's another question since I've talked to AI like ChatGPT recently. Would the government want it to be tight-lipped since it's openly answering a lot of our questions? Now, before I continue, please take a second, smash the like button for the video. It really helps out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're in need of your daily dose of the truth when it comes to Social Security, the stock market, the housing market, and Washington, D.C., and everything that affects our lives, our families, and our bank accounts, be sure to subscribe. And for the best way to invest in gold, hit the link in the description down below of this video. Now, I'm just going to start off by saying that there's going to be a couple of movie references today, and I swear that all of it's going to make sense as you watch this video. Now, whenever we watch movies based on fiction, we usually just watch and turn to whoever's with us at the movies and say, that would never happen in our time. And most times we would probably be right. Yeah, it probably would never happen in our time. I mean, I don't expect to fly an X-Wing anytime soon or have Scotty beam me up at a moment's notice. But what if they do come true? There was this movie called Contagion that talked about a pandemic and the race to find a cure. 9 years after it came out, we actually saw firsthand what a health crisis could do to the world. Was that planned? Did it seem impossible at the time when the movie came out? In just the trailer, you can see how the truth is hidden from the public, and it even shows empty streets and airports. We saw that in real life. You know what they say? The truth is scarier than fiction. Also remember that years before the pandemic, billionaire Bill Gates, he talked about the possibility of having one. I think it was like a TED Talk or something. And just like a really good fortune teller, it happened. Was this planned? Was it scheduled? Which is why it's worrying to see more content from him. So what's new? Artificial intelligence or AI? Listen to what a former scientific researcher and vice president at Pfizer had to say about all of these so-called predictions.
Come to a close. Unfortunately, I think this is just the beginning. So I've learned when people tell you what they're going to do, don't ignore them. So when the UN and Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab tell you that they've got a UN 2030 plan with sustainable development goals, I think there are 17 or 21 of them, and every one of them says you won't be traveling, you won't have a private car, we won't be using international shipping to move goods around, there won't be any flights except military or perhaps very rich people. You won't own anything and you'll be happy. You probably won't live in your own house. You'll be using much less energy for everything, including heating, manufactured goods, and so on. When they tell you that, you should assume that they're serious about it. And so I think COVID has been part one of a multi-act play that's going to take 10 years that will destroy the liberal democracies completely. If you think living in a democracy, now ask yourself who you could vote for that would change this, because I don't think there's anyone you can vote for anywhere that is guaranteed things. So I don't have an answer, but I'm telling you, I think we're sliding down through the gates of hell. I'm speaking out. There's nothing in it for me. I've lost lots of money, all my friends. I'm away from my home and family. And I'm speaking out because I am absolutely sure what I've told you is substantially true.
That is frightening. And look at what Bill Gates recently released, an article called The Age of AI Has Begun. Now, there are many parts of this article that you really should focus on, but I'm gonna give you guys a quick rundown on a couple of them. It defines AI as software that was created to solve specific problems or provide particular services, but that it's limited and not capable of AGI or artificial general intelligence, where the program can learn any task or subject. Today, AGI has not yet been reached. At least that's what they're telling us. Now, if you guys thought that the layoffs that we're having were tough, imagine where more of us are being forced out of a job because a program learned how we do it. It says here, when productivity goes up, society benefits because people are freed up to do other things at work and at home. Now, of course, there are serious questions about what kind of support and retraining people will need. Governments need to help workers transition into other roles, but the demand for people who help other people will never go away. End quote. AI is very much capable of learning repetitive tasks, and if you see jobs that are currently apt to be automated, it's not impossible to see layoffs in different markets and sectors. I mean, just look at Walmart. Repetitive jobs such as scanning products and giving people a total, these jobs are quickly being eliminated and replaced with self-checkout registers. We also see how the government is very ingrained in this article, as they're talked about multiple times. Actually, here's another one. It says here, quote, other concerns are not simply technical. For example, there's the threat posed by humans armed with AI. Like most inventions, artificial intelligence can be used for good purposes or malign ones. Governments need to work with the private sector on ways to limit the risks. Then there's the possibility that AIs will run out of control. Could a machine decide that humans are a threat, conclude that its interests are different than ours, or simply stop caring about us? Possibly, but the problem is no more urgent today than it was before the AI developments of the past few months. End quote. Armed is such a scary term to use. And governments? We're supposed to trust the government with AI? Seriously? Because it's not like they would use any of this technology irresponsibly, right? You know what? When you say the term trust, the first term that comes to mind is government. When you say the phrase sound financial planning, the first thing that comes to mind is the Federal Reserve. True story. And if you're talking about quick thinking, well, humans are the last to mind if you ask Bill Gates. Listen to this. Quote, super intelligent AIs are in our future. Compared to a computer, our brains operate at a snail's pace. An electric signal in the brain moves at 1/100,000th the speed of the signal in a silicone chip. Once developers can generalize a learning algorithm and run it at the speed of a computer, an accomplishment that could be a decade away or a century away, we'll have an incredibly powerful AGI. It will be able to do everything that a human brain can, but without any practical limits on the size of its memory or the speed at which it operates. This will be a profound change. These strong AIs, as they're known, will be able to establish their own goals. What will those goals be? What happens if they conflict with humanity's interests? Should we try to prevent AI from ever being developed? These questions will get more pressing with time. End quote. Strong AI, huh? Any of you guys remember that movie from the 80s called War Games, where a teenager accidentally taps into the Pentagon supercomputer and starts a game with an AI called Global Thermonuclear War? Yeah. And since the kid thought it was a game, he inadvertently starts the countdown to World War III against Russia. Doesn't it sound familiar? Now, I'm not saying that this is going to come true where AI will be blamed for the next world war, but just imagine what could be coming next if these programs suddenly went rogue. But at the progression that they're at right now, I would believe that a rogue AI means that someone let it loose, instead of it deciding to wreak havoc upon the human race. Now, there's also language of AI designing drugs and vaccines in the future, as well as the development of seeds and food elements that, some groups want to have control of. Gates does provide a few points to balance the fear of this kind of technology. Now, obviously, he states that the government has a lot on its plate and has to keep this kind of power in check. He also admits that these services probably will not help the poor, but instead would benefit the wealthier side of the population. It's good to see that he's honest about that. He ends it by saying that this new age will be filled with opportunities and responsibilities. Now, of course, I gotta ask you guys, do you guys believe that the powers that be will give out fair opportunities for everyone? And can we expect them to be responsible with this kind of technology and power? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Now, on the topic of responsibility, I believe that we have one to ourselves. With today's many economic challenges and households swiping their credit cards left and right, we need to assume the responsibility of getting back to a point where we're comfortable with our own lives. Financial freedom with a strong cash flow, that's a dream. And, that is something that many of us should have access to. If you want to learn more about side hustles, building small businesses, creating multiple streams of income, learning about the stock market and wise investments, feel free to join us over in the Patreon community. And for the best way to invest in gold, hit the link in the description down below this video. It's not impossible to get back to financial freedom. It is totally possible. I just want you guys to stay optimistic. Now, before I go, guys, please don't forget to drop a thumbs up for the video and subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. Appreciate you guys watching. I thank you for all the support, and I'll see you on the next one.